joining me again. I'm Stephen Cronin and this is another watercolour painting demonstration. I'm using a big 8 brush and this is just clean water going over the paper, and I'm going to go a bit of light red, a bit of raw sienna, a bit of cadmium yellow. Just see what it looks like, a bit more yellow. And I'm deliberately leaving just little bits of white in the sky as I sort of wish me brush around the paper, and these little white bits will be like the most intense part of the light that I'm going to try and create in the sort of the sky area, reflecting down into the water. It'll make sense as I go along. So that's the sort of first initial wash. So a bit more red down there. Now I want to start introducing a few darker colours. So I'm going darker, so I ain't going to bother cleaning the brush. I'm just going ultramarine to the mix I've just had on the brush. See how it's just darkened it up, and I'm just putting in some dark clouds now. I'm going to have the horizon line somewhere about 2/3 of the way up the paper. So let's, what I'll do, if I darken the sides like this, it sort of enhances the light, the lighter areas coming down the middle. So I'm just brushing that up to about 2/3 of the way up, so where about the horizon line is going to be. And what I'll do, as it dries, I'll put a little bit more on. And it'll just go on a little bit stronger and stronger until the paper's dried enough so that I'll just stop doing it then. This is alizarin crimson, Payne's grey, a bit of ultramarine, a little bit of cloud up there. I'm not going to see very well there, it's sort of already quite dark. So if we put it up a bit more on this side where it's not quite as dark, it'll stand out a little bit better. It's quite a long way away, so I want these clouds just very, very small. And they get even smaller and smaller as they go off into the horizon line. Watching those pools of water gathering at the bottom of the paper, and you can see so it's going on a little bit darker and darker just as the paper just starts to dry. But I don't want to do it all. I still want to retain all the little bits of red and yellow that you can see. I don't just want to go bish bash bosh and just do it all in this sort of dark colour. I want lighter areas showing through. So I'm just wondering, a bit of red, a bit of blue. A little bit more in that sky there. See, that's because it's dry now, it's going on a little bit stronger. It's going on really strong. I think that's enough faffing about with the sky. I'm just getting in a little bit more. Right, that's what I'm going to do for that now. And the paper stretched a little bit. You can stretch it before you start painting, but I just do it as I'm going along. Refix it on this right hand side with these big clips. Some people use masking tape or whichever way you like, sticking your paper to the board. I just use these clips, just makes life a lot easier. So the horizon line is going to be about there. So again, I'm not going to bother cleaning the brush, I'm just going to go into a bit of blue. And then I'm going to stick some mountains up there. Something like that. Bigger one up there. Again, just watching that water gathering at the bottom of the paper. And then what I might do, just to suggest a little bit of snow on the top, just a little bit of scraping. So one there like that. Some down there like that. That'll do. Try and keep it as subtle as I can really. And then just in front of that, there's a bit more land. I'm just going to introduce a bit of burnt umber, light red, and then a bit more ultramarine. Let's get this on really nice and strong. That's going to come down something like that. Let's just push that in. On the right hand side now, a bit more of that land mass up there. Now my brush is well worn now. I'm finding it harder and harder to get a nice chisel edge. I get through quite a lot of paintings with these brushes. The paintings, incidentally, you'll see the link in the description below. They're all available on my eBay shop. They don't go for much. I don't think you're going to be have to fork out fortunes. I'm lucky if they go into double figures, to be honest with you. Just take a look and see what you think. That'll do for that. I just want to make sure this is flat. It's just stretch a little bit more. So I'm not going to worry too much more about the sort of background cover. I'm worried more now about these darker tones that are going on. And we've got, in fact, I'm wondering whether to just dry. No, I'm going to leave it damp. It's just that the drier the paper is, the stronger you can get the paints on. But I might, let's stick a bit of mass there. Okay, it must be a little bit higher. A little bit higher, something like that. Let's go for one. Something like so. I'm just wondering whether to scrape out a few little pebbles. I only like to do the scraping in one section. It tends to look a bit overdone otherwise. I might just do a couple and just see what it looks like, because I've obviously used it already in those mountains. Just wondering now whether to sweep this round or come in like that, whether to just leave it as it is. I might just leave it like that, I think, for now. Darken that up a little bit. A little bit darker. Right, now what I want to do is I want to boat. Before I do that, I've got to make sure it's dry, so I get quick dry with the hairdryer. In fact, before I do that, let's just level this off. Looks a bit of a mess. So I'm just doing it sort of parallel to the bottom of the paper. Well, I don't think it's any better all right. Right, so I think I've finished now with a big 8 brush, so I'm just going to stick that in the water, ready for next time, and I'm going to switch to this little flat brush here. This comes in handy for doing sort of distant boats. So I'm just going to go a bit of brown, bit of red, bit of blue. Basically, I'm just looking for a dark colour. Doesn't matter really what colour you mix, as long as it's quite dark, so that it sort of matches what you've got on your paper. And then now I've got to pick where to put it. Now, I don't like putting it straight down, straight in the middle, but I've put the light there, so it needs to be somewhere in this lit area. But I'm just going to go just slightly off centre, it's not going to be that off center, it's going to be, well, it's, I'm going to go here, I'm just going to go here. Let's just put a little boat in. Actually, just take off some of that, bit too much paint on there. There's a boat, put the reflection down. And then I didn't quite dry that properly, so I'm just careful when I'm sticking my hands. And then we've got the mast. Again, this would have been better if it was a bit lighter. If the background was a bit lighter, so the mast stood out a bit better. That's all. And then that's reflected down there. So that's all little focal points. And I think the only other thing I'm going to add now is switch to the little rigger, number 3 rigger brush. And then same mix. I'm just going to stick a little bird right in the light area so that it stands out. And the final thing to do, if you're painting along with me, which I hope you are, stick your name in the corner. Not right in the corner because it'll be covered by the mount, so it's framed. Right, let's see what that looks like in the mount. So this is our finished painting with the mount on. Let's go in and have a closer look at it. So I've started off this sort of orangey effect. It's sort of raw sienna, light red, and then a bit of and cadmium yellow as well. And then darkened it up with a bit of ultramarine in there to create these clouds. It was brushed in, generally coming in from either side and then preserving this lighter area. If you remember, I said I was deliberately leaving sort of unpainted sections which will act as the most intense bits of light. So you can imagine, I could have done with something similar to that, a bit higher up. But if you imagine the light sort of coming down and then reflecting off these sections in the centre of the scene. I was going to scrape in a few rocks and pebbles in the foreground sections, but the reason I didn't is because I'd already used the card to scrape in the mountains. Another one sort of there in the centre, most distant part, and then just some sort of subtle, very, very subtle, as with most things in watercolour, best left subtle little scrapes here and there, just to suggest a few sort of rocky parts of that mountain, sort of pushed up, sort of deliberately pushed up just as high as I could, just so there was a little gap between the mountain and then sort of the lighter area of the sky, and then this dark cloud which had a fair bit of ultramarine in to sort of darken it against the lighter background. So with the distant mountains in, then the nearest to us. Now this could have done with being a bit strong, bit darker in tone really. Same with that one. Maybe I could have dried the paper. See how this is here, a bit darker. See how it contrasts nicely against the water behind it. See, there's very little contrast there because it's all very similar toned. But the land, it comes down just to frame this central area of the water, a bit more on the left hand side, and then just off centre here I've got the little boat, just put in very, very simply. Main boat section, and then just the mast reflected down just as high as it goes, and then we got our little bird in the sky. Well, that's it for today's painting. I hope you like that. I hope you're practicing, painting along with me. Any questions, please don't hesitate to ask down below in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.